The great hall of Varelia Prime shined like a sea of light. Tall crystal walls reflected the colors of distant stars. Hundreds of alien leaders sat in their golden seats, waiting for the session of the Intergalactic Council to begin. They came from many worlds, some with blue skin, some covered in silver feathers, and others who spoke through glowing orbs of energy. Among them stood a single human, Captain Aaron Wells. He was Earth's first ambassador to this Grand Council. His uniform was simple compared to the elegant robes and armor of the others. Yet there was something calm and strong in the way he stood. He didn't speak much, but his eyes showed quiet confidence. Many alien delegates looked at him with mixed feelings. Some were curious, others doubtful. Humanity was still new to the Alliance. They had only entered space a few decades ago. Compared to ancient races that ruled the stars for thousands of years, humans were like children, fast-growing but unpredictable. The session began when the Grand Chancellor entered. A tall being with transparent skin, the Chancellor's voice echoed softly across the hall. "Today," he said, "we discuss the membership of the human species. Let their representatives speak when the time comes." Aaron nodded politely. He had prepared for months for this moment. He knew that one wrong word could make Earth look weak or unworthy. Still, he also knew that truth always had its own power. Among the High Council members sat Lady Seraphine Kara, a noble from the royal family of Varelia. She was known across the stars for her wisdom and calm judgment. Her beauty was quiet and graceful silver eyes, soft lilac skin, and a voice that carried like music. No one ever saw her lose control of her emotions. She listened carefully, but spoke only when needed. When her gaze met Aaron's, something strange passed between them. She had studied humans before, but this one seemed different. He didn't act nervous or proud. He simply observed, respectful but not afraid. The debates began, and they were fierce. One delegate from the Krith Dominion stood up, his metallic wings clicking. "Humans are reckless. They fight among themselves. They spread too fast. Why should we trust them?" Another, from the Sarn Coalition, agreed. Their world was full of wars. If we let them in, they may bring conflict to our stars. Aaron listened silently. He didn't interrupt anyone. He took notes and waited. Some thought his silence meant weakness. But Lady Seraphine noticed something else. He was listening, truly listening. That was rare among the council. Finally, the Grand Chancellor turned toward him. "Captain Aaron Wells of Earth," he said, "you may now speak for your kind." Aaron rose slowly. His boots echoed on the glass floor. All eyes were on him, hundreds of alien eyes, glowing in different colors. He took a breath and began in a clear, steady voice. "Honored council members," he said, "I understand your doubts. Humans have made mistakes. We are not perfect. But I also know we have something valuable, our promise. When humans give their word, we do everything we can to keep it, even if it costs us." A few aliens murmured, unimpressed. Aaron continued. "On Earth, we learned that peace isn't built by fear or power. It's built by trust. And trust only grows when we choose to believe that others mean well. That is why I am here, to show that we don't want to take, we want to give." The hall grew quiet. His words were simple, but they carried weight. He didn't use grand language or politics, only honesty. One alien scoffed. "Fine words, human, but easy to speak. What can your kind possibly offer to ancient worlds like ours?" Aaron looked at him gently. "Hope," he said. "When everything seems lost, we humans still hope. And we keep moving forward. Maybe that is why we reach the stars at all." That answer surprised many. Even the ones who disliked humans paused to think. Seraphine's eyes softened. She could feel something real in his tone, something pure. After the session ended, delegates returned to their chambers. The decision about humanity's membership would take several weeks. Aaron walked quietly through the palace halls, his mind full of questions. He didn't know if his words were enough. As he passed a garden filled with glowing trees, a voice called from behind, "Captain Wells." He turned. It was Lady Seraphine Kara. She approached gracefully, her long robe trailing like flowing water. "You spoke bravely today," she said. "Most who stand before the council tremble. You did not." Aaron smiled faintly. "Maybe because I've seen fear before. It doesn't help much." That made her curious. "You sound like one who has known struggle." He nodded. "On Earth, we face storms, wars, and hunger. But every time, people stood together. That's what keeps us human." For a moment, Seraphine said nothing. She looked up at the stars glowing above the glass roof. "Perhaps that is what makes your kind different," she said quietly. "You fall often, yet you always rise again." Their talk was short, but something in it left a mark on both of them. For the first time, the noble alien lady began to see humanity not as a threat, but as a mirror, a reminder of emotions her people had long forgotten. Days passed. More meetings followed. Whenever Aaron spoke, he did it with calm strength. He didn't argue or shout. He respected everyone, even those who insulted him. Soon, other delegates began to admire him. Some even changed their opinions about Earth. Rumors spread around the palace. They said the Virelium lady seemed unusually kind toward the human. When asked, she only smiled and said nothing. But deep inside, she admired his honesty. One evening, as Aaron prepared his final speech, he found a message waiting for him. It was from Lady Seraphine herself. It read simply, "Meet me in the East Courtyard. There is something you should know." He went at once. The courtyard was quiet, filled with soft light from floating lanterns. Seraphine was there, standing near a crystal fountain. "I wanted to warn you," she said gently. "Some of the council members are planning to reject Earth's entry tomorrow. They think humans are too emotional, too unpredictable." Aaron sighed. "Maybe they're right, but I can't change who we are." She looked at him seriously. "No, don't change that. It's what makes you strong. You speak with heart, not calculation. That is rare here." For a moment, they stood in silence. The sound of water filled the air. Then Seraphine said quietly, "When I first heard about humans, I thought your people were dangerous. But now I see something else. You remind me of what our own race once was before we lost the warmth of feeling." Aaron smiled softly. "Maybe that's what makes the universe balance itself. Every world needs a reminder." When he left that night, Seraphine watched him go with a strange feeling in her heart. She had seen many ambassadors before, cold, clever, and proud, but none like him. There was no greed or fear in his eyes, only kindness. The next day would be the final vote. The great hall would again fill with voices and judgment. No one knew what would happen. But one thing was certain: Lady Seraphine Kara would not see humanity the same way again. As the stars rose above the shining palace, she whispered to herself, "Strange human, why do your words stay with me?" And somewhere far below, Captain Aaron Wells looked up at the same stars, wondering if tomorrow would be the day Earth finally earned its place among them. The morning of the final vote arrived. The Grand Hall of the Intergalactic Council shimmered with silver light. The air was filled with quiet tension. Delegates from 100 worlds had gathered to decide whether humanity would join the Alliance or be forever denied entry. Captain Aaron Wells stood at the center of the chamber, calm but alert. His hands rested behind his back as he looked around. He could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes watching him. He knew this was not only about him, but about all humans waiting back on Earth. Lady Seraphine Kara entered with the Virelian delegation. Her robe glowed faintly under the soft blue light. She tried to look composed, but her heart was uneasy. The night before, she had barely slept. She kept thinking about Aaron's calm eyes, his honest words, and the way he spoke of trust and hope. She had seen strength before, but never a strength like his. The Chancellor struck the crystal bell, and the sound echoed through the great dome. "We begin the final hearing on Earth's petition to join the Council," he announced. "All voices shall be heard." The first delegate to speak was from the Krith Dominion, his metal feathers glittering as he rose. "Humans are dangerous," he declared. "Their history shows endless conflict. They will only bring trouble among the stars." The second delegate, from the Sarn Coalition, nodded. "They act on emotion, not logic. We cannot risk giving them access to the shared network of worlds." Aaron listened quietly. He didn't interrupt. He had expected this. Every word spoken against humanity felt heavy, but he stood steady. When the Chancellor finally turned to him, the entire hall grew still. "Captain Aaron Wells of Earth," said the Chancellor, "you may speak for your kind one last time." Aaron stepped forward slowly. His voice was calm and clear. "Honored leaders, I know your fears. I know humans have fought each other, and sometimes we made mistakes that hurt our own world. But we learned from those mistakes. We learned what pain teaches, that peace has no meaning without forgiveness." He paused, looking around the room. "You call us emotional. Yes, we are. Because emotions give us courage to care, to protect, to dream. That is what brought us to the stars." The council members exchanged quiet looks. Some seemed moved. Others remained cold. Aaron continued, "We don't want to rule or take anything. We just want a chance to prove we can stand beside you as friends, not as threats." He looked directly at the Krith delegate who had mocked him before. "You said we are dangerous. Maybe you are right. But our danger is not in weapons or power. It's in how far we go to protect hope. Because even when everything falls apart, we humans don't stop believing that tomorrow can be better." His last words hung in the air like music. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the Chancellor said, "The Council will vote now. But first, if any wish to speak on behalf of humanity, let them rise." The hall was silent. No one moved. Aaron stood alone in the center. Even those who had shown some sympathy hesitated. To support humans openly could mean political risk. Then, from the high seat of the Varelian delegation, a soft voice broke the silence. "I will speak." Every eye turned toward Lady Seraphine Kara. Her calm face glowed under the silver light. Slowly, she rose to her feet. The Chancellor looked surprised. "Lady Seraphine, do you wish to address the Council?" "I do." She walked down the grand steps, her every movement graceful and sure. When she reached the floor beside Aaron, the hall seemed to stop breathing. "Lady Seraphine," said the Krith delegate sharply, "this is highly unusual. You represent the Varelian royal family. To stand beside a human, I know what I am doing," she interrupted gently. Her voice was not loud, but it carried across the vast hall with perfect clarity. She turned to face the Council. "I have watched this human since the first meeting. I studied his actions, his words, his patience. He did not come here to boast or beg. He came here to understand us. When others shouted, he listened. When others accused, he answered with respect. Tell me, who among us still does that?" The room was utterly quiet. She continued, her silver eyes glowing softly. "We call ourselves advanced, but maybe we have forgotten the most important thing, heart. This human reminded me that compassion and honesty are the truest signs of wisdom." A few delegates began to whisper. The Chancellor listened carefully, intrigued. Seraphine turned toward Aaron. Her voice softened. "You humans may be new to the stars, but in some ways, you shine brighter than any of us. You still feel deeply. You still hope when there is no reason to. If our people had not lost that, perhaps the galaxy would be a kinder place. Then came the words that made the hall fall into absolute silence. She said, "If only you were my husband, human, our worlds would already know peace." A wave of shock spread through the crowd. Every delegate froze. Some gasped, others stared in disbelief. A royal Varelian had just spoken words of admiration, perhaps even love for a human. In the middle of the council chamber, Aaron's face turned thoughtful. He was speechless, not from pride, but from respect for the courage she had just shown. The Chancellor rose slowly. "Lady Seraphine Kara," he said carefully, "you realize the meaning of your words?" "Yes," she replied simply. "But truth is truth, even when it surprises us. If this human's heart represents his species, then they deserve a place among us." Her calm voice carried a strength that no weapon could match. For a moment, everyone was silent. Then one delegate stood up. "I second her statement," said a being from the Urali cluster. "Humans remind us of something we lost long ago." Another followed. Then another. Soon the hall began to stir, not in anger, but in slow agreement. Finally, the Grand Chancellor lifted his staff. "By the voice of the Council, and by the witness of all worlds present, we accept Earth into the Intergalactic Alliance." The hall filled with sound applause, cheers, and light rising from every seat. The impossible had happened. Humanity was now part of the stars. Aaron bowed deeply, overwhelmed. When he turned to Seraphine, she smiled faintly. "You see, Captain Wells," she said softly, "sometimes truth changes more than laws ever could." He smiled back. "You took the biggest risk of all." She shook her head gently. "No, human. You did by believing we could listen." After the ceremony, the stars of Varelia shone brighter than ever. Aaron stood on the palace balcony, looking out at the endless sky. The air was cool and clear, filled with quiet wonder. Seraphine joined him there. For a moment, they didn't speak. Then she said, "Your world will be proud of you." He turned to her. "It wasn't just me. You helped us take the first step." She smiled softly. "Then may our worlds take many more together." They stood side by side, a human and an alien noble, watching the sunrise of two worlds that had once been strangers. And somewhere deep in that shining dawn, the galaxy learned a small but powerful truth. Humanity's greatest weapon was never its machines or armies. It was its heart.